in another episode of Omnipotent Growth with Kal. Today's topic is set the right priorities as a leader. Let me give you a bit of insight why I think and why we think with Stefan that this is a very important topic. One of the major pillars of productivity is how you set your priorities and how you handle the vast amount of tasks that are incoming to your daily backlog of tasks. So there are few types of work. One of them is the planned work, which is we like it very much because you have time to organize and react on how you want to schedule your efforts, react on how you want to combine, delegate the forces of the team, and so on and so forth. Then there is the other type of work, which is unplanned work. This type of work is making a big impact on our productivity and on the things that we think we can finish and complete in certain period of time. So to be able to be flexible and to be agile, which is the new word that everybody uses when it comes to flexibility. The buzzword. So to be such adjectives, you need to prioritize really well. And about prioritization, it can come up from the two types of work that we already mentioned, the things that you have as an appointments and as your duties in your family life, and also another pillar might be that you want to have a free time for yourself to recharge. So to get directly into the topic, hi Stefan, please enlighten us how we are going to approach this one.
Yeah, hi Kal. Indeed, the topic is very how to say it's current topic all the time because we are very busy. The daily work overwhelms us, but the problem is that this so-called unplanned work, like you said it, sometimes just floats upon us, and we cannot even focus on the so-called planned work and our priorities. Oftentimes we end up the day and we really cannot tell what we were doing through this day. We are often interrupted with questions and requests for support by our team members or urgent assignments by our superiors. At the same time, we cannot expand the time, at least not in a long run, because it's simply not sustainable. So we really need to set our priorities right to attain our goals. But first, before that, because the podcast name, the episode today is set the right priorities as a leader. I would like to kind of ask you, what are the leader's right priorities? And I'm not talking about particular leader in particular industry. It's more of a general question for you.
Well, so I'm thinking about the alignment. Of course, this is one of my nags, to always think about the levels, the logical levels. And in an organization, so if you're the leader, the top one, then the start should come from you. So you want to set what are the defined goals. Like every other level should be aware of your top priorities, and you should stay consistent with it if as much as possible. So for some companies that have angel investors and shareholders and so on that publicly traded, it's very difficult because you have to satisfy a big amount of people. For the private companies, it's a narrow focus on a certain, let's say, board or a certain supervisory committee that you wanna please with their goals. Of course, this all goes all the way up to the owner always. So it starts there. The priorities there should be clear. Then you have to put them down. So with every other level, reaching those priorities, I always connect them with the OKRs, so objectives and key results. This is a fundamental practice that is used from one of the most successful, few of the most successful companies around the world. And if you're clear with that, then I have a great metaphor about how everything else could be decided and done. I always, as we speak in the other episodes, the visualization of something and the metaphor of something always stays. So I'm always thinking about the jar, and when you put a few big rocks inside the jar, and then when you put around them smaller rocks, and it still has place, and then you put the sand in the jar, and it still has place, and then you put water into the jar. And if you try that in reverse, what happens is, you fill up the jar before you even get to the big rocks. So there is no place for the big rocks. And this is the same as priorities. So sometimes you overload some people unintentionally because they're the subject matter expert or the person that is the best for the job, and you still put you said those are the priorities, go after them, but then you see that the person is catching up with those tasks and so on, and then you put more and you say, okay, and it will be great if you can do that also. And it turns out in the end that the person is overloaded, and in the worst case scenario, he burns or she burns out, and it leads to not finishing not only the priority task, but not finishing anything in the end because there is a sick leave or something. And then this is on a micro stage, on the operational level, when we talk about people. But when we talk about organizations, if you don't know which are your priorities, then you don't know which way you're running. You're running in circles, you're hitting the walls like a night butterfly. You don't know where exactly to go. But when the light is turned on, then you know for the revenue we need this and that. For the happy shareholder we need this and that. For the supervisory board, they are very excited about that. Okay, so those are the ones that we are after. We make sure that they are executed correctly. And there is a 4-quadrant matrix that I very much like. I should be able to visualize it somewhere, maybe here. And the matrix is created for the urgency and the importance of the, just give me a sec to get a wiper. And then you have things like this. Just let me see where to put it. You have how important it is and how urgent it is. So if it's urgent, if it's very important and very urgent, if it's here, you do it right now.
Yeah, immediately, exactly.
Yes, because priorities should be the main factor on how you move your tasks up to the ladder. So the other thing should be, if it's not that urgent, but if it's important, you have to delegate it. No, you have to plan it. Sorry, plan it to do it because if you're the subject matter expert, if someone is better than you, then you can skip it, right? You can delegate. So if it's not that important and it's urgent, you can delegate. So Yeah, this here should be on the bottom of the list. If it's not urgent nor important, think about how to make it urgent or important. Like you have to create a different setting around what the task actually is and how it connects to the bigger goals. Yeah. So in a nutshell, I think this illustrates how you can align and how you can focus on a larger scale, and then on the next stage it's a bit different because you need to know your craft. So to be able to decide which goes where, you need to really understand what you're doing and preferably measure the impacts of the different decisions that you make and see how it affects in the long run. That's why it's good to have an yearly overview on the things that you're doing.
So if I may summarize quickly, start with the big goals, with the essential ones, which are different for the different leaders, different organizations, and then set your priorities according to these goals. Differentiate between important and urgent. Use this very good graph that Kal just drew, and for setting what is important, what is urgent, and so on. And yeah, just stick to your long-term goals. Today, in these days, as I said in the beginning, we are overwhelmed by meetings, emails, extinguishing urgent tasks, or the so-called fires. So, Kal, I would like to ask you how to focus on your priorities when we are flooded by non-essential stuff. Some techniques to focus.
Yeah. So I can give you my personal way of my personal escalation matrix in communication. So I have a communication or channel for all the operational work. And this is, for example, 1 or 2 levels below me. They are muted all the time. So they're doing operational stuff, developing, creating great things. And I booked a slot in which I review some of the chats and I review some of the operational work just to have a grasp on how things are going, not to go deeply into detail because they have their own line managers and so on. But I have this from Jack Welch and from other great growth mindset leaders that you always need to be close to operations, so close to business. And I think it's really important for whichever level you are executing on to be close to business, to know where the contact is with the client and how the work is managed and done. So this is my first level of when we speak in hierarchy. So then the second level, I have channels with my direct reports, which are managers, department managers, for example, in this case, or whatever they are at the moment that they're called, because structures change, and this is not so important. But for the direct reports, I have a different communication channel where we discuss topics that are on their level. This channel is always open, and I allow notifications on this channel. So I know that when they're speaking about something, I should be included in that matter. And there is, for the people that are on my level, and there is a specified place in which we all attend to once a week. So we don't do it on a sporadic manner like the others, like the ones that I work with on a daily basis. But then we align once a week to really be on the same page and talk about what happened, what happens, and of course those things I might exclude when I am time boxing a certain activity, like if I'm in an important call, if I'm in let's say interview or a presentation, I can put the not disturb mode and just shut them off for the time period, so I can be concentrated and really mindful about the thing that I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. So this is active for even in the weekends. I have almost the same matrix about which devices can give me messages from people that I would expect messages or calls. Like for certain times, I only allow calls to go through, because I know that if somebody needs me urgently, they'll call. If not, the message can wait.
Yeah.
So the next level, the biggest level for me is, which is always on, is to my direct leader, because I know that if there is a need to discuss something, this line should be open. So I tend to leave it open, and this is of course a dual responsibility. So you need to know when to disturb your direct leader, and how to react when something happens and you need to conversate about something. So this is an escalation matrix that allows me to know when I need to have only that one call and to organize myself for a few hours and just be on a very urgent topic, and then when to shift and to go into the different layers to have balance and to have really going after other priorities when the time is right.
So different layers of communication, time boxing, and so on. Okay, I think I should raise another topic here, which is related to this in a distant manner, though. And I want to talk with you a bit about the procrastination and the procrastinators, because almost all of us have been in situations where we simply do not commence a task because either it's too boring, or sometimes vice versa, it's too complicated, and we feel insecure, or we fear failure. And then when the deadline approaches, we are rushing to complete the task, almost always at the expense of its quality. How can we overcome this procrastination mode?
So I think this is a whole other episode because there are so many things that are related to this topic, but I can give you my thoughts in a nutshell. So the procrastination either means fear, or it means there is no understanding about the importance of the thing that you should do and that you procrastinate on. So if it's fear, I always recommend small baby steps, like when you want to create a habit of training, the first step you have to do is put on your shoes. So when you put on your shoes, you're halfway there. And this is the same with procrastinating on a certain task. When you want to do it, just open the file that you need to work on, or draw the first line on the thing that you want to create. Write the first sentence on the meeting that you're preparing, and then build upon that. So of course it needs discipline, because people tend to get very disciplined when they don't have the time anymore to do their tasks. So they're rushing into it. They're very productive for a short span of time. There was a great TED talk that I saw on that topic, and the guy called it the fun monkey, which distracts you whenever you want to do the task that you don't want to do. The fun monkey comes and starts Netflix, or started to browse a bit of interesting article, and then 3 hours later you end up on looking how to create ice cream with no ice. So stuff like and he calls the other thing the panic monster. So the panic monster is the one that scares the monkey when it's almost time to deliver the task, and you start to be very productive. But to fight that, I will say the thing that maybe I always say to people that ask me how I'm able to do so many things all together at the same time. And I always say that I'm a product of my habits. So I don't, if I'm successful at something, I don't even try to be in control, in self-control, or to use my willpower and such stuff. Because if you are playing that game, so it's like playing against suing your country, or a game that you can never win, something like that. And if you really want to stop procrastinating, you should create the environment of habit to stop procrastinating. So you must have the triggers. One small thing leads to another small thing, which leads to me doing that work. For example, when I come to the chair, the first thing I do is put on my earbuds. The second thing I do is put on a playlist for productivity. The third thing I do is I open the file in which I work. And then by the end of that time, you already created a trigger, an environment, and also the no escape route of you doing the task. It's the same like putting on your shoes, putting on your sweatpants, going out of the door. What you can do next? You should go train or what? Return. Exactly. You need to find the point of no return, and create a pathway of small increments up until there. And when you do it often enough, then your organism knows that when it's time to work on a difficult task, for example, because it's the procrastination, it's not connected with just one task. It's always something like that. You always want and need to procrastinate on something, because as I said, fear is one of the things, and the other one is the lack of understanding. And if you don't understand why it's important and what is impacting, then it's hard to do. So it's the leader's job to try and understand, to try and explain why this is important to be done and what is affecting. And when you know that, when you know the why, then the task itself becomes another thing. It's so hard to do.
Probably when you feel fear because the task is too formidable or too complex for your skills, you should also engage some kind of help, support from other fellows, other colleagues of you who might help you. But the thing is, you're right, and I completely agree with that. You should start. I mean, you cannot just simply push it away because it will not go away at the end. It should be done. So create the situation, like you explained, certain habits that will help you start this difficult task.
So I just thought of another very interesting tactic that can be used against a bit against procrastination, and a bit for making your willpower stronger. So for people that need to cut on sugar, the best thing they can do is put a jar of their favorite candy on their desk. So you're looking at it, and when you try it, you want it a few times a day, but then you stop it, and then your power gets larger, and it loses control over you, and you're looking at it every day, and you know it there is there, and that you know don't need to grab it, and you don't need that sugar rush, and you can easily live without it. So I can think of the same thing. For example, if your favorite procrastination method is watching Netflix, just put on a Netflix, let's say laptop or iPad or whatever, put it on, of course, not on the working day, but if you have very important task to do and you distract yourself that way, put it on, leave it on the whole day, to something to be playing, something you get very frustrated in the end by it, and maybe it will stop drawing your attention that much, and you will rather focus on the other thing. So this is something that it sounds like a good idea to try.
Well, yeah, a bit counterintuitive though, because when the distraction is in front of your eyes, I mean it's really easier to just grab it. And I've recently, by the way, I've recently read about completely the opposite theory. That is, if you know that, for example, when you're putting off a task, you're distracted primarily by your phone or browsing the internet, just clean up completely your desk, put your phone away, because when you don't have a visual contact with it, you simply forget about it and just focus on the task. But
this is the thing I do. I just don't rely on willpower, because I know that those methodologies are, but they're used there. So I will stay true to my practice, and I will recommend the book. And I will just have to check what was the title. But the book is explaining all the biases that we have, and all the tricky parts in which you have to create your environment in the way that it won't mess up your routines. So it's just give me a second.
Yeah,
because I forget While
you're searching for the book, just an interesting also technique popped up on my mind, which is the so-called WOOP method, the WOOP. W stays for a wish. So your wish is to start healthy eating, while we are on the topic, and then you visualize your wish. You imagine what your goal is. Then come the O, which is the outcome. You'll become healthier, in this case, fit, and so on. Then you thought of the second O stays for obstacles. then you thought of all different obstacles that can come up in your path, and think of ways to overcome them. And P stays for plan, which is the exact steps that you should take to reach your goal, and start by the sooner you start, the better. No need to postpone it. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a sound model. But then, you have to complete the loop by really controlling your environment and
Exactly. Yeah.
searching what works for you. For example, I can give an example. My wife is very strong. She can have candy in front of her eyes and don't do anything about it. But then she piles up and always buys more and more. And I'm exactly the opposite. When I'm in the store, I won't buy anything sweet. But then when she buys all that sweets, it's really agony for me to restrain myself from eating it. So you should know what works for you. Of course, with the right intention and the right mindset creation, you can finding your deeper why and why you want that, what type of a person you want to be, and you represent, you visualize yourself. Then many of the things are possible, but more on growth mindset in another episode. So the book is The Willpower Instinct, and it's by Kelly McGonigal, PhD. So there is a lot of biases that you can find in that book, and some of the examples I gave are from that book. It turns out that the key message there was that you should control your environment in a way that
exactly. Don't rely completely on your willpower, because for willpower is oftentimes overstated, and just control the environment and don't create situations where you can be tempted to bad habits.
Definitely.
Okay, cool.
We are just human. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we reached our time of another interesting topic again. So, final words from you, Kal.
Final words, guys. We are going to explore more and go deeper, but you know that for the ones that are listening right till the end of the episode, the first season of our show is dedicated to really exploring how vast can be the leadership world, and how many different, so all the interviews that we do, how many different people we are inviting to have a different point of view on some topics. But then again, this season is just about exploring, so we have a lot of things to focus on. I'm hoping that you're trying and using all the practical advices that we give you in each episode, and expect from us more. Please don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments and to reach us directly. I want to thank you again for watching. Share our content, subscribe to the podcast and to the channel, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, thank you guys. See you soon.